This is your daily market recap for Wednesday, November 30th, 2022. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market recap for the last day of November 30th, 2022. Hopefully you're having a great day. If you've been following the channel, you expected some sort of up move to come out of the action that was basing. As you saw today, bears got throttled. Are you surprised? You shouldn't be, because we talked about the action. If you're not familiar with the last and the first 3 trading days of the month, well, look at that. I've done a video on it. Did that a video a long time ago. The reason why it's important is you have what I would consider locking in profit taking to end the month, potentially new money coming in. And so if the market makers are doing what they do well, which is what? Take the most amount of money from the most amount of people, you weren't surprised by the basing action and the SPY that led to the rip up. We all know Powell was going to say what he's going to say, but I've said this for weeks. I think we're in the sweet spot for them. As long as inflation is coming down compared to what it was, and oil and gas are, pulled back, you saw exactly what you saw today. So I'm trying not to, pat myself on the back too aggressively, but it seemed very obvious how this was going to work out. Because the thing that I try to press upon people all the time is think about how the market makers work, not what you want. And a lot of people were looking at the Powell to say something that was going to tank the market. Everybody was thinking that. And one of the things you have to be very key on in your mind is the odds that that's going to probably be wrong. Because once something becomes very known and obvious, now even he is aware of what he says or the market perception of what he's going to say. And that's the thing about the market. Once you start seeing tendencies play out where everyone thinks something's going to happen all the time, the opposite starts to become a little more likely. How you quantify that, you don't. It's experience. That's why I like to look at social media. I like to look at who's always talking the most amount of junk. Look at a lot of what I would consider fake social media, traders / investors who have huge followings but seem to be, in my mind, clueless. If you want that list, you can just check me out on Twitter. I'll hit you up, because these people are constantly wrong. Again, they delete their tweets, they delete their history. I've never deleted a single tweet. Again, I like people to realize, yes, being wrong is part of trading. The goal is to hit 8, 9 out of 10 correctly, not be right always, because you can't be. It's a probability-based game. It's again, no matter how great you are at poker, blackjack, college sports betting, you name it, you can't win all the time. And so the key is being able to vary bets, knowing how the markets work. On that note, let's keep going. If you're newer to the channel, please subscribe, hit the like button, notifications. Trust me, you're going to appreciate it. Do live chats all the time. If you think I'm just talking to talk, please check Twitter. Please check Twitter. I've been talking about some of the things I'm looking for, and I'm posting about what I think is going to happen. People are always amazed how well we predict with accuracy what's going to happen. Well, if you're not following, I don't know how to tell you how to learn how to do this, right? It's always amazing. People are like, what do you think's next? And it's well, again, the evidence evolves, and as closer you get to something, the more likely it matters. Again, if you're newer to the channel, please check out the Back to Basics Education Trading Room. Again, this isn't the channel necessarily built for new traders, but I've done 53 videos to try to explain to people how a lot of this stuff works. Knobs, gaps, trading. We talked about cover call writing, trend lines, formations, options expiration, first and last 3 trading days. It's all there. All right, now that the market just shredded the bears, what's next? Let's get into it. Hey, Bitcoin. Said this a lot. Oh, that is not Bitcoin. That is not gas. Why did it do it? Well, give me 2 seconds. I apologize. Come on. Where'd my mouse go? People forget I have 8 screens going. All right, nice little bounce. We've said this a lot. Dead money. But if you're entering at the lows, well, there's your stops. And if you are shorting, well, you got to realize, at a certain point, the downside becomes negligible, unless you take out the 15 sixes. Well, you didn't. Now you popped. Now you're up against the near-term range. Personally, don't have a high vested interest in trying to predict Bitcoin at this point because I think it's going through what gold went through for many years. After you go on a big run, once the momentum is lost, tech. Bitcoin is a tech kind of investment. Again, this is hard. No one knows for sure. You get a price correction, then you get a time correction. This is just choppy, sloppy action. The only thing I can really say is if you were trading it, trade around your positions, but also like try to be in at the lows or the highs if you're shorting. That's all you can really do. Other than that, don't overtrade. It's the same thing I recommend with all trades. Like, let it come to you. If you're in between swing points, you're in between areas, and you're just trading to trade, dangerous. Nat gas added a little bit today on the pullback. Said, oh, that was a gift. It dropped out of nowhere. We'll see it more on the UNG. Look at that, holding tight in the 7s. Not a problem. Oil. Why are my charts going backwards? It's like they have a mind of their own. What did we say was coming? Said beware of this doji. Doji at the lows. Massive long-term support at 76. Goes all the way back to 2005 as being a major inflection point. Guess what? Doji comes right back. I've said this, and I'll say it again. Here's the thesis. The market is in the sweet spot. If you're looking to short, now the next couple days after today's move up, it could be what I would consider choppy. That wouldn't surprise me. But I've always thought we were going to resolve higher to blow out the bears, ring in the new bull market. Supposedly that's coming. Well, one of the things that I've said over and over, well, for the Feds to actually have to do something differently than to talk, other than talk about, well, we're going to, finish rate hiking next year. What would be the one thing that changes that? Commodities go a-ripping. Feds can't create oil. Fed rate hikes can affect the demand, but they can't affect the supply. Well, guess what? OPEC's going to probably cut more. Supplies are dwindling. I mean, I think we had a draw of 12 million on the inventories today. And keep in mind, there's still 200 million barrels that need to be filled back in the SPR. Unless the market collapses, I think oil is about to rally. It's that simple. Hence where if you were buying it on the dips, congratulations. Congrats. Now you got the super dip and you bought it. Trade around your position, but man, you got the entry. Patience, grasshopper. Think of Livermore. Sometimes the best trades are sitting on your hands. What does sitting on your hands mean? Well, when you got a winner, you let it run. Comprende? Understanded? Good. The dollar. Said for a while, I think it's going lower. This 200-day, 0.382, low 28 area, old trend line. Every day, bears keep saying, oh, the dollar, this. The dollar's gone nowhere. I've said this, and I say it a lot. Dollar rates, whatever. If there's not a huge volatility in those specific products, the market kind of gets used to it. Dollar just trading in a 1% range ain't going to scare anybody. 2% range. No one cares. It's when it starts going on these nice, like, zing, 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 roll higher, roll higher, roll higher. That's when the market gets nervous. Notice such? Now that we're pulling back, said it's not that unusual for you to what? Pull back 0.382 of the whole move? Wouldn't be surprising. That would be actually a healthy, especially if you're expecting lower later. Bonds. Tittle, TLT. Here you go. Volatility in the bond market. You're not getting it. You're getting lower rates and chop near term. Market likes it. Market likes it. Everyone in banking loves it. Housing market loves it. Ah! Yeah, sound like Kramer. Or not Kramer, but Jerry Seinfeld. Ah! People are getting, comfortable with the rates where they are. Keep in mind, historically, 6% interest rates, 5%, not that crazy. That's what I said. They're in the sweet spot. They're back to where they historically want to be. And if inflation comes down, then they don't have to continue raising rates. That's why you need to see oil and gas rip higher to put them in the pickle. But I've said at a certain point, there is upside to the bond market if that's going to happen, right? If inflation starts kicking up, oil, gas, whatever commodities you're watching start ripping, the TLT will probably start turning over. That's the key. Remember, TLT in the stock market, they look pretty much the same, y'all. Peaked in December. Down. All right, well, TLT, holding tight. Not that dangerous? Question mark. VIX. Told y'all this. They would fill the gap. Nobody believed us up here. We said, you know what? If the market does not follow through down and the VIX doesn't confirm, don't be surprised at some point we've come back down in November, December. I thought maybe even... Probably, yeah. I was thinking more December. Yeah, there it is. But it was hard because I always say, like, if October crashes, if there's an October crash, then probably not. Well, you didn't get the October crash. Then it became very obvious. Just took its sweet time, as it always does. Now what? Fills the gap. I mean, people don't want to hear this, but this is what can happen. You can get into these chop zones. Here's the chop zone into November, December of last year. We'll see. I personally said over and over, they're in the sweet spot. Doesn't necessarily mean the VIX has to skyrocket, but I could see it basing down here unless something comes out of nowhere, which, again, I don't know how you chart, predict, or can anticipate things that you have no clue are potentially possible. Keep that in mind. Just be thoughtful. Be thoughtful here. Be careful shorting. SPY. Today's action, though, will give you somewhat. I would say, I said this, I thought the market would peak on either a gap up or a big up move. Well, you got your up move. It's starting. So here's the problem near term. Remember, new money coming in first of the month for 3 business days. Is it this to chop? Or is this pretend like this is a gap and add in the move today and make it like a candle? Is this the start of an up move through the 200-day, which it clearly did, to the upside target? Now, could it go higher? You bet your ass it could. Remember, the key we're looking for is what? The start of the new bull market, the headlines that everybody's bullish. It's okay to buy now. We need people to see that. We need to see that. What price point? That's where it becomes hard. This is where people are like, oh, well, give me evidence of where it has to be. We can only predict probabilities, y'all. Just stop it. It's so frustrating to talk to these folks who are just like, tell me where. There's an art to trading. Remember sentiment blowing out, getting people to do stupid stuff? Well, I'd be watching the channel. But would it be surprising if you broke below? Now, you got volume today, so this helps the market makers unload. But we don't know. I need to see oil and gas start absolutely shredding higher. To me, to be believing that the top is in and not some sort of just choppy, sloppy mess where you could get a choppy top, you get a choppy top, or it could be just like December of last year where you dip down into November and then it just went nowhere for the month. Y'all see this? You see this? This is potentially here. Here's your bottom, November 30th, December 1st, rallied, chopped. Nobody's talking about that, and I'm going to put down in my mental notes, December chop? Question mark, like 2021? At this point right now, remember, Russia's quiet. All is quiet on the Western front. Eastern front, I guess is the best way to put it. We'll see. It's just hard to be too bearish too early. I've been there before, and I try not to do it. I come more aware of it every time. What do we talk about? 20-day on the QQQ? Here you go, 290s. We're into it. Tech lags, but it doesn't mean it just can't chop, run up, then flop. Right? Is the Q's going to catch up? I don't know. I don't trust it, but it could. IWM, we talk about IWM being important. Well, it doesn't look like it's really lagging. Talk the 100-day, and here you go. You're right back up at the highs. Now, I know the SPY is making new higher highs, QQQ lagging. Let's just watch what happens when you get up here in the 188 plus range. Talk about IWM peaking first. I say this all the time. Please take notes. I hate rehashing myself in the Discord room, saying the same things that I swear to God people probably should have heard a dozen times a week. Right? I mean, how do you want to draw it, I guess? Yeah, it's whatever. Don't bring a ruler. Let's watch for lagging, okay? This is not lagging. That looks just fine to me. Gold. Told y'all it was probably going to peak, go higher, hold the lows. Whatever, 0.786. Don't short it. Got some gold. Probably going to look to unload it soon. Really want to see the 200-day at 0.786. That would be my upside target zone. It's literally written there. That's why I'd do that. Silver, what did I say? Mid-20s was always possible. Yeah, there you go. Here it comes. We're already technically there. Could it get higher? Oof, how high? I don't know. 21s? I mean, again, this is what's so hard. People are like, oh, it has to hit here and stop. No, the market doesn't do that. Not every time. You want it to, but it doesn't. We'll see what happens here. The Fed's, markets, everything really liking what happened today. GDXJ, again, I said, please don't short this unless you trade around it. And if you traded around it, you're gone. Today's action blew you out. Yesterday's action should have been a red flag because you had an inside day. I mean, you've got all these price points between 35 and 38. I think it's all possible. Their GDX, hate it, but it's rising, making new highs. A nice little gap up. Is it the start of the novice gap top? I don't know. Watch the 200-day. Personally, think the best time to buy miners metals will always be sometime in December. Keep that in mind. Like, there's always that seasonal pullback. At this point, got to be careful. Got to be careful. Okay. AG, Doji, decent volume, not really. Whatever. It has to hold channel, could go channel high. Could go channel highs. AEM, acting better at channel highs. Well, we'll see. I don't like the deal they're doing, but it doesn't mean it can't test maybe some of these fibs or slash support resistance zone. Here you see it, around 51. Could go higher. I mean, this is the thing. You got to be just evidence dependent. Evidence dependent. Evidence dependent. New highs on Newmont, not bearish. Again, I said I thought it could fill this gap, maybe. I don't really like these names, but hey, they're doing what they do best. When the market goes up, they go up too. PAAS, new highs off the lows. Watch the mid-16s, maybe up in the 17s. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. So I don't know how to tell people what. Just wait. Everybody wants to act now, and I'm telling you, just acting now is always the hardest thing to be right. But then here's the problem: if you're too early, you have to be able to admit when you're wrong. I struggle with that, so sometimes I wait, sometimes I'm perfect, sometimes I'm early. It's a crapshoot. At this point, I am going to let the first 3 business days of the month come in before I even think about shorting, and I'm also very concerned that December could be a choppy month. Man, this is hard. And people are like, oh, but tell me the easy answer. The easy answer? Good luck. Wait for the sentiment. Wait for people to start believing the new bull market's starting. Because that's where we know it's not. But we also need commodities to ride. AMD. What did we say? I said, it's acting pretty. I literally said in the video, I'm like, it doesn't look that bearish. Here you go. Boom. Right back to the 100-day. Got to get up into the 80s, mid 80s. Maybe. NVIDIA, you're welcome. You're welcome. Said if it holds tight, it's okay. There you go. Breaks out. Said maybe the 200-day 0.786. Nice. Ex-div today of a whopping 4 cents. SMH. Now you can start putting this back on your radar to short, right? Said watch out. Please don't be the first to short it because the market was in the sweet spot. Here you go. Now the SMH is getting into areas where you might want to take a stab. Here's the VAP zone. But if it holds up, don't be surprised if it gets what? I'm starting to see like what could be like the start of another little trend area that lines up with a 0.618. Ay. I liked the 220s when it was down in the 160s, 70s area, but crap. Could it go? 0.618? Keep that in mind. Just be aware. You can be wrong and early. So sometimes it's better to be late and right. Adobe. You're welcome. Again, 20-day said it could pop. Probably gets back into this gap. Maybe fills it. Moving right along. Apple. Things that aren't bearish, right? We talked about how crappy the news was coming out of China, and it just didn't seem to be getting smoked. Well, guess what? All that news got wiped out and right back to where it started. Not bearish. Not necessarily chase-worthy, but just shows you market's not collapsing. Amazon said, watch what happens down here in the low 90s. Got over the 20-day. First time. With a little bit of volume, maybe it has room to run up to 101. You're welcome. CRM. You're welcome. A lot of your welcomes holding tight. Yeah, don't really like it because I know it's in the chop zone, but this wasn't a short. So moving right along. Google. Here you go. Said watch what? Watch what happens around the 20-day. Boom. Said it could always get back up into the 106s, 107s. Here you go. Holding up. Meta. Talked about 120 potentially. Well, guess what? Today's action seems more likely, right? Maybe you get up into the 130. Maybe you fill the gap. I don't know. But I'm not shorting, not like the rest of the idiots out there. Microsoft said 270s. It was always possible. Get up here in the 200-day channel high. Well, now you're into the next zone. I don't know what to tell you other than please be careful. Don't chase, but if you're shorting, stupid. NDAQ, we stopped out of this because we were talking about the market was strong. Being early. Well, here you go. Someone's trying to argue it's a head and shoulders bottom. Technically, yeah, you could argue that. But here we are into the next support zone. I don't believe it's going to be breaking out to new highs. because tech is going to be losing its volume long term, but it doesn't mean it couldn't do a double top. Oh, crap. That has to be in the back of your mind. Always. Once you get over the 618, the 1-to-1 becomes real apparent, potentially. Maybe it just gets stuck up here at 70. I don't know. Right? Like here, let's draw, like, look at this little area. Could it just get right up to 70? I don't know. Again, a lot of people talk about, changing your targets. You have to. You have to be adaptable in the market. People say moving goalposts, you change your opinions. If the goal is to do what the market's going to do, you have to be wary that your targets, your beliefs, our thoughts have to be adaptable. And I hate to say that and sound like, oh, you're revisionist, but that's the thing. It's not. The best traders don't marry their beliefs. They just try to do what the market's going to do. And the worst traders are the ones who want to be right versus do what the market's doing. Said it yesterday in MicroStrategy. Said, that's interesting. It holds over the 170s. Could it pop 20, 30 points? Well, there you go. Probably can get back even up to like low 220s. We'll see. Netflix, you're welcome. Patience paid off. Said multi-day range chop, broke below the channel. Was like, interesting how it closes the 20-day. Here you go. Fills the gap. I still think it could get up into the low 300s, maybe even the 340 gap fill. Sorry, 330s gap fill. Saying the same thing over and over. I'm just amazed how people hear what they want to hear. Roblox said, I think this is a buyout target. I was like, interesting. It's holding down here around 2030. No trade on it, but it made sense that it bounced. Tech bounced. Tesla, you're welcome. Gave out this trade a dozen times. Said, watch what happens when it backs up to the 170s. There you go. When it breaks trend lines, it's usually the best. I mean, could it get into the 225s area again? 50-day? I don't know. Not long-term bullish on it, but made sense that it could trade up. Broken record. X. Hey, look at some of these commodity names. Look just fine. Leading up. While those other ones are just starting, these names have been leading. You're welcome. Get over the 618. Here comes the 0.5 and 28s. It's just that simple. It's been easier to own. Nucor. What do we say? Watch what happens. Watch what happens if it pulls back into the 140s, mid 140s. There you go. Close at the high of the day, 150. Probably could get easily in the mid 150s, upper 150s. VALE. Somebody said they had long-term June calls. I don't really understand why you would want that far out, but I can see the reason why to be bullish. I mean, again, high and tight is not bearish. I say that, especially when you hold support zones or support prices. Look what it did. Held, boink, went higher. Professional gap yesterday, talked about it, said, closing over that wasn't bearish. How high can it go? I'd be watching the 17s. Congratulations. Arrow. People are like, oh, it looks like a bear flag. I'm like, nah, just chopping. I don't know. It doesn't held the 50-day. That's all you can really say. Going back to channel high. CCJ. Talked about it holding that like 22, upper 22s, low 23. Yep, there you go. Vink. Pop back. Choppy. Holding up. CF. Put on alert today. 50-day. Anyone see that? I did. Look at the volume. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. We put an alert out. Said, watch the 103s. There you go. Boom. Easy money. Appreciate the donations. Thank you so much. It's so easy sometimes, and don't have to overthink it. 50-day was your reference. 50-day was your exit. Mosaic. Here you go. Holding up. We said it's like holding these like random channel trend lines and working its way higher. Looks fine to me. It seems to be lagging. That's all. It's not a leader. NTR lagged today, but it had been leading. But guess where it held? The 20-day. Said how many times? How many times do I say this stuff? And I swear to God, no one ever says anything about it. And I'm like, interesting. Literally tried to give you all the insight I could. 20-day. Said 20-day was very important. It was 20-day was important when it was below it. Now it's above it. Now guess what it pulled back to? The 20-day. How about them apples? Yeah. Not that hard. Aaron told you. Again, it's funny. I think ready to sell is like a lot of I told you so today. And it's like, yeah, I hate to say that, but it is true. What do we say? Pull the dips in the 45s. Here you go. If it breaks the trend line, gets over 50. Well, look at today's gap. How are you bearish? Probably gets up into the upper 50s. You're welcome. Again, another you're welcome. I expect people, if you're making money, pay yourself. Pay your taxes. Expect to. And if you want to chip off a donation to yours truly, appreciated, not required. Just keep your tuition bill low. We'll talk. I know at some point you'll hopefully make enough money to buy investment property and let me help you with that process. Or maybe you just want to donate because you're like, damn, you really have been the teacher where the tuition was not required up front. You actually were offering value up front. Holy shiznit. You weren't telling me to pay $3,000 for a course that I couldn't execute on my own. No, you were there the whole way free. That's what we do. Because one day you're going to help me out. Meaning, again, the more eyes looking at the market together, seeing the same thing through the same lenses of understanding how the market makers work is unstoppable. You don't believe me? Well, stick around. We'll find out. XBI. Someone, who was it? Hamilton? Someone this morning was like, hey, let's check it out. How's it holding up? Yeah, there it goes. Not bearish. XLF. What did we say? Market ain't rolling over. The XLF is holding high and tight. High and tight. Well, here you go. Now you're getting the upper range. God forbid it doesn't. If it fails here, great. If it doesn't, let's look up at the higher points that are potential. And you start having to look at what? 37s. Sorry I have to move this stuff on you, but man, it's just hard. It's just amazing people who don't really understand. Like, they just want to know where to get in, where to get out, and where something absolutely must hold. And it's like, the market doesn't work like that. If it did, it would be freaking easy. It'd be so easy and everybody would win. The reality is what? 95% of people fail and everybody's losing money. So guess what? Easy isn't normal. Usually, if my man Eric's here, I've said on this over 100,000 times to him, the hard thing is usually the right thing to do. The hard thing to do is to be long into this because everybody thought Powell was going to tank the market. Well, guess what? The hard thing ended up being the right thing again. Morgan Stanley said, watch the lower 90s holding up. Oh, there it goes. Right back into it. Game over for the Bears. I mean, you're into some target zones, so watch this. Watch what happens, mid-90s. JP Morgan said, please don't short this. Closed at the high of the day. They are having an amazing quarter. Ripping everybody off, telling them to sell at the lows. Telling people to buy puts. Still going higher. They're doing great. Don't ignore that. TAN. Told y'all I thought solar was building to go higher. Here you go. Makes a higher high. Still think it gets up in the 80s because it just feels like if oil and gas are going to rip higher, then why wouldn't solar come with it? The big blue wave. Nah, I'm just kidding. There wasn't a big red wave, though. That's the point. Holding up. Doesn't look bad. ENPH. Everybody wants to short this. It's like, Jesus Christ, do you have a death wish? Not really a death wish, but just be patient. If the market ain't rolling over, don't short it. All right, well, you got your references. I still think you can get up to the monthly channel high, maybe even break over it. That's the best way to trap. That is how you trap everybody. Keep that in mind. That is the best way to trap, is to break out, to fail. Sedge said this for weeks. This looked bullish to me and then holding up. All right, we'll see what happens when it gets into the 300s again. First Solar. People were like, oh, you said 145s? Watch it. Nope. You said 170 or 164? Nope. Okay. Well, guess what? I didn't short it. I didn't lose a single penny. And you're like, well, people are like, oh, your followers may have not caught all your updates. Whose fault is that? If you're following me for the entries, and you're not following me for the updates, what the? I'm sorry. You put it in your book. I do too. And guess what? I know I can be wrong. I've said this 1,000 times. 1,000 times. There's no certainty. Engineers, people who are just math, like strictly only, do not do well at trading. I don't know where the top is. I mean, maybe it's a 2 times range now. I don't know. But you can. If you're shorting and the market's going higher, you're fighting the tide. I say that all the time. You got to be careful fighting the tide because you're not going to get a lot of juice out of it. Oil, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Bear trap, rallies back. Another doji, who cares? High and tight's fine. Don't give a crap. Channel range lows, great. I anticipate oil and gas is going to get some rotation tomorrow. And if the short interest is 55% plus in XOP names, good Lord. Don't be surprised when oil and gas start rallying, you see XOP go freaking bonkers again. Put out an alert for the 20-day on UNG. Congratulations if you bought it. Down below 21. Hot damn. Closes, not terrible, but closes right back at where it should. Right here, right in this range, right in this range. Perfect. Looks fine to me. One day doesn't make a trend, but today's action, could it be a bear trap? You bet it's possible. XOP, here you go. Huge short interest. Just high and tight. Everyone's saying it's about to fall over. This does not look like it's about to fall over. It looks like it's about to rip face. When's the last time it did that? Remember this? Chop, chop, chop. Zing, pow. Kapow. Zing, 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 pow. I don't know if that's... I'm not trying to be racist. I just like all those accentuations of words. Yeah, culturally, I don't know. Who can I culturally? What do you call it? Affiliate it? No, take it over. Maybe. Zing zing pow, chop 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 pow pow. I think of more of like Batman, the old Batman, where he's like punching and like pops up on the screen. Pow. Here you go. Culturally appropriated. Yeah. Go woke, go broke. Y'all know how it is. Here you go. Watch the trend line. Last time we had the big rip. What happened the following day, the beginning of the month? Here you go. Here's a nice start of a month. Zing pow. Where's October 1st? Sorry, November 1st. Where was it? Here you go. Come down, then pow up. We'll see. But remember, it didn't peak until what? Late June. Mid-June, sorry. So if this is like starting the action, good luck. It's hard to know for sure. That's all I can say. If you want to be overly picky, good luck. ExxonMobil, here you go. Holding high and tight, not bearish. Here's the monthly channel. We'll see what happens. Occidental Petroleum. Everyone loves their petroleum. Holding up high and tight. Doesn't look that bad, man. Doesn't look that bad, y'all. Chopping. Let's end it on PXD because I got excited about the close. Holy crap. Doesn't look great, right? Talked about buying it 240 area and below. Check out the freaking 10-minute close. Check. Oh, sorry, it's on a different screen. Give me 2 seconds. Check this out. What happened into the close? Somebody dark pooled the crap out of it with shares. That's what you want to see at the low. Remember, they were ex-div yesterday. Nobody talked about that and said got $5.71 coming. If you had some shares like I did, you're thankful for it because it helped you weather this drop. And boom, come on. Come to daddy. A lot of people are like, why do you like PXD? I'm like, check out the monthly. Check it out. This is great. It is over the 2013 highs, high and tight, basing. Where could it get to? I mean, I don't know. I've always thought the 280 seemed very likely. Man, I don't know. Maybe 300s. Anyway, if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, please reach out. I love and appreciate all of the donations, generous compliments, and wow, how are you right so often? Just keep that in mind. I'm not always right. We're trying to do what the market makers trying to accomplish. We're trying to ride in their coattail. How do you know how to do this? Well, again, you study it. You take notes. You start anticipating what? Retail, the typical retail mindset, belief, they're always wrong, y'all. They're always wrong. And when I say always, like, again, it's a game is meant to take the most amount of money for the most amount of people. So you start assuming what? That these people are going to be wrong more times than not. It's that simple. And I'm out. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.